We are back.
Hey,
Can you
hey.
believe it? We're back.
Yes. Yes. It's been 3 weeks, something like that? 5 weeks! Oh. Imagine if that was 5 weeks of vacation.
That would have been nice.
Oh, yeah.
5 days of vacation would be nice, much less 5 weeks. Everybody. Karen, good to see you.
Hey, hey.
I can't believe it. We're actually back. But then we're leaving again. Sort of.
Yeah. No, next week we're in, all right?
Next week we're still here. But
Yeah,
then we're
yeah.
out. Then we're out again for a couple of weeks and then we're back. Because then
Life.
holidays start. But in between the time, you get to come over to my side of the pond.
Yes,
We'll talk
2
about
weeks
that.
from now.
We'll talk about that in a few minutes. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Darren. This over here is Victor. We are the co-host of a podcast called DevOps Paradox that comes out on Wednesdays at 6 a.m. Eastern. And on Fridays, when we're around, we try to do a live stream looking at the news of the week.
5 weeks.
And in this case, it's 5 weeks. But we're not doing 5 weeks of news because that would go on forever. So I treated this week as just a week. I didn't try to backlog anything, and I'm sure we'll think of things as we see some of the items. But I only looked at the news for this past week. But I do want to get into your travels, or at least
But
one of
before
your travels.
that, just get
Yeah.
that news of the week. Because haven't been following what's going on in 5 weeks. Are we still going to talk about Terraform, OpenTF,
I haven't even looked at it.
or that's already gone?
So it's not gone. I did see that OpenTF now has a brew install.
It's
I can't
not
remember
OpenTF,
a recipe.
it's OpenTofu.
OpenTofu, thank you. See, again, I'm already lost from 5 weeks ago. They did get a brew install for the alpha. So,
Okay,
right? So
nice.
once you have a brew install, then you're official. That's sort of like
Then
being
it's official,
that's
yes.
like a Facebook official, right? That's, once you have your brew install, that's it. Yeah, Maz, yes, OpenTofu, yes, I know. Maz, good to see you.
You know that tofu, what it stands for? Terraform Open and then FU, you can guess.
Didn't know that. I just figured it was something bland. Open blandness. I reached the 2-year milestone on my subscription to DevOps Toolkit. Karen, thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
By
for
the
doing
way,
that.
guess what shows up next Thursday? You're back with AMA with somebody. I can't remember.
Yes. We have 2 AMA scheduled next Thursday and Thursday after next.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
But then again, wait, after next? You're gone then, aren't you?
I don't know. I think I'm traveling on Friday.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's
Yeah.
it. So be sure to check out DevOps. And you've crossed, we haven't talked about this recently, you're up to 58,000 subscribers on that channel. Not that that matters, but it's 58,000.
Yeah. Still small for YouTube.
Yeah. But bigger than this channel. This channel's almost to 3,000 now. It's 2,800, 2,900? I haven't looked. I'm not even pull it up right now. I don't want to break things. It's been 5 weeks. Things are, I'm just trying to figure out where everything is. Let's talk about the most important thing because this is time sensitive. And if you're watching this after October 20th, you've missed out for us. So for this case, the nominations for DevOps Dozen are open. Last year, Victor won for Best DevOps Evangelist or Top DevOps Evangelist. They changed that word for that category. We're trying to get nominated again for Podcast, Top DevOps Evangelist for Victor, and then Top Video Series, and that will be DevOps Toolkit. Now, the information, the data to enter here changed. When they initially launched it, or at least unless I fell asleep, which is possible, Ari called me out on this yesterday. Not called me out, not in a negative way, just said, hey, things have changed. So now you basically go through a little 4-page survey. Like not a survey, but it's just sequenced, right? So instead of just 3 fields, now it's more fields. I haven't gone past the first one yet. We would greatly appreciate your nomination. And then voting, and this is the key part, nominations close today, Friday, October 20th at midnight Pacific time. So you've got roughly, there's last year's here. Let me put you full screen. Wait, put it back up. So that's what he won. I'll turn it around because you're backwards. Thank you. So there's his award for this last year. We need another one for this year, right? Because you need to build out your thing.
Yeah, I don't have enough decoration, so that's what you're saying, Carl.
Right. We need more furniture in Victor's house. So, if you would not mind, if you go in today's show notes, they will be there, but I don't know. I'll get the show notes there. Go to DevOpsParadox.com. At the top of the page, there is. Does my mouse show up? My mouse does not show up. At the very top of the page, you'll see a DevOps Dozen 2023. Click on that. That will take you to this page. And then you can click over at the top of this page. There's a link over to DevOps Dozen. Or you can just go to DevOps Dozen. In fact, I probably should have opened that. Here, let me do that real quick. DevOpsDozen.com. Because I don't nominate. I guess I could nominate you, but I'm not going to nominate the podcast. That I have problems with that. But if you go to categories, you'll see everything show up, and then you just click on the ones you want to do. So top DevOps Evangelist. Where's our other ones? Related Video Series 3, and then podcast is 4. So we want 6, 3, and 4. You click into it, and then you step 1 of 4. So I guess there's 4 steps here. So first name, last name, your company, I guess you just put it yourself, I don't know. Your email, and then I haven't looked at the others. So please, we'd be very thankful. Okay. Enough for that. At least, so this is the downside of being gone for 5 weeks, because it opened right after the show that we did. So we did our last show on a Friday, and on that Monday, nominations opened. And we've been gone since then. Okay. But what's not been gone is the podcast, because the podcast kept going. This week's episode was about Wilco. We had on from the guy's name here. I'm not joking. The guy's name is On. So we had on from Wilco. And we talked about Wilco. We talked about D20s. We talked about all the fun things. That's why we have dice here. Listen to the episode if you haven't listened to it. The D20 reference will become a little more apparent. I think it's very interesting. You can create your own quests and learn without breaking real things. That's what we should be able to do, right?
I like breaking things.
I know, but not in production.
No, I like in production as well. Others don't like me breaking things in production, but I
Others
do.
don't. Okay. So podcast comes out Wednesday, 6 a.m. Eastern. We have quite the lineup coming up over the next few months, because we just locked in a lot this past day, thankfully, because Christmas is coming soon. And I want to not be editing all Christmas holidays. So I'm trying to get as many done for Christmas before Christmas. Let's just put it that way. My wife would like for me to not be editing all the holidays.
Oh,
Let's
I
just
thought
put it
that
that way.
that's your Christmas wish kind of like.
Christmas wish.
wish
I get to edit all
yeah.
the holidays. Yeah, no. That's not what I want to do this year. Do not want to do it. So anyway, podcast going along. We're coming up on episode 250 as well, by the way, because we have 233, and we'll have our friend Patrick back on, just like we always do. Or he hasn't. He said he would, but we haven't locked it in yet. But if you haven't been following Patrick Duval recently, and you're wanting to learn about AI, I highly recommend just go follow him. Just because he's going off the deep end. So I'm going to be really interested in seeing what he has to say this time. All right, let's look at a couple of news items. Cilium graduated this past week.
Yeah.
I saw Liz post this. So Cilium is like, yay, finally. Another graduated thing.
Cilium is probably it became one of the most important CNCF projects, hands down. It's basically the de facto standard networking. Amazing. And now they're going up the stack.
Well, I think you said here, I'll restate it, Cilium is the default choice for cloud-native networking.
Exactly.
Period. Yeah. So Isovalent is the company that has a product offering around Cilium, but Cilium itself is, of course, open source. So there's also going to be a Cilium Con at KubeCon. Too many cons.
Yeah.
Which is happening. So we haven't looked at this. I haven't pulled it up. How many pre-show shows are there?
I didn't check, but I assume many.
Like 10, 15, 20, right? It feels like there's like CiliumCon this one.
And that's if you look at CNCF webpage, you will find a bunch. But then there are many that are not organized through CNCF, so they're not on their page, but they're happening. So it's going to be a madhouse.
So anyway, sticking back to here, Cilium Graduates. So now how many? Okay, I will have to go look. Let's go take a look, just because we can. No, I don't want to do that. I want to do. Do I dare? KubeCon. I'm gonna do that. That feels safe. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
We're having trouble finding that site. Google Ad Services. Oh, it's Google Ads. Here,
Yes,
let me
skip the sponsored immediately. Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. All right.
Probably collocated events.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, here we go. We'll look at the right hand side. So, App Developer Con, Argo Con, Backstage Con, Cilium Con, Cloud Native Startfest, Cloud Native Telco, Cloud Native WASM, Data on Kubernetes. That would actually be interesting to me. DBAS Dev Day, Envoy Con, Istio Day, HPC Day, Kubernetes on Edge Day, Multi-Tenancy Con, Observability. Oh, there's a lot.
And those are only the
officials.
Still a part of it. Yeah, exactly.
The officials. Yeah, I heard another podcast I listened to. They're going to be at KubeCon recording podcast, but they're actually not going to be at the event center because they're not allowed to be at the event center because they're not paying. So, which is fine.
Yeah.
You're paying the bills, you get to make the rules. That's the way I look at it. Jivan, hello. Yes, this was the DevOps guy. You were talking about Patrick a minute.
Yeah, exactly. Some call him grandfather of DevOps. I don't think that he's
not
any
so much
interest
DevOps
in
in it.
yeah, exactly.
He is all in on AI at this point. Okay, anyway, KubeCon. You're going to KubeCon. A lot of other people we know are going to be at KubeCon.
Yep.
But you're not speaking.
Not on KubeCon. I
Not
do
officially.
speak on rejects, yeah.
Rejects. Okay, anyway. Cilium. All right, good. The other thing that came out this week is the Kubernetes policy-based governance, risk, and compliance paper. This should make you happy.
Because I'm not
Policy is
compliant.
code. Well, it's policy is code.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Which is in your space.
Yeah.
So there's now an official paper out from CNCF on how this should be done. You can go and download. It's funny. Okay, so it's a paper, and you see a link to GitHub. What do you think this is? What do you think this is? Type of paper, physical file type. What do you think it is?
Is it PDF? Don't tell me it's PDF. Anything
Well-
but HTML. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, it is a PDF, but the PDF is there, but the source is there too.
Yeah, I hate PDFs. They're not searchable.
Not very well. But anyway, the latest PDF is right there. So if you want to download it, you can. But if you want to see it, you can see it right here. But anyway, it's official now.
Nice.
Okay. Carpenter blueprints.
Okay.
You had sort of a strange love-hate relationship with Carpenter, I think. Those are my words, not
Best-
yours.
Yeah, best autoscaler for AWS. Last time I checked, not used by anybody else.
Anybody else. Right. So it takes, probably because of this, as Carpenter takes a different approach to provision compute capacity to the Kubernetes data plane. Right? So now they have some blueprints of how to use Carpenter, which,
Nice.
yay, right? Why not? It's always a good idea to say, hey, if you're going to use our stuff, here's different ways you can use it. Nice and easy, off you go. Long freaking page. And here are the blueprints. High availability by spreading pods within multiple AZs and nodes. Dang, that's useful. Split between on-demand and spot. Important.
Yep.
Prioritize saving plans and or reserved instances. Okay. Working on Graviton. They're ARM-based. This is a favorite one. Over-provision capacity in advance. In other words, let's just go ahead and waste money right now and we're okay with it. Because we don't know.
Exactly.
Right? There's times in life where that's okay. It's like, we just don't know. So let's throw money at it for now. And then we can start heading back towards these, splitting between on-demand and spot. Or whatever. Anyway. These are all interesting, I think. But
yeah, that kind of defies the purpose of cloud. Cloud is there precisely because I can get what I want when I want it and when I need it, right? But why not? Why not spend more?
Well, I mean, it's okay, and he said here, it's like, this is what we do. We over provision, but that's okay. Is it best? No. Is it what we're warm and fuzzy with? Absolutely. Because how did we do it before? We bought big boxes and we wasted money. Looking back on it, but we didn't know if we were going to waste money when we started. Am I keeping you from a meeting?
No, I just canceled it.
Did you have another one?
No worries. Canceled.
Did you have a meeting at the bottom of the hour? Because we can be done.
No, it's all good. All good.
Okay. Anyway. MIT Zero license, which I thought was interesting. I don't remember what MIT Zero is.
I don't know what. I know 3 out of those 4 letters there. Yes.
No attribution.
Okay.
Okay. So is it not only is it MIT, you don't have to tell them that it was MIT. You know what this means, Victor? This weekend you could create a book and put it on LeanPub based on this.
I can publish the doc, yeah.
You could.
Yes, PDF.
Well, if you're doing it on LeanPub, you could.
No,
Doesn't
it's
matter.
PowerPoint. I'm going to publish it as a PowerPoint book.
PowerPoint book. We need to talk books again. All right. Anyway, but not today. macOS containers. Can you believe it? Is it possible? This is
macOS containers. What the heck is that?
Containers. We're announcing the 0.0.1 release. We're talking bleeding edge. Native containers. Yes, you can now run macOS inside macOS, build images using Docker, and distribute them using registries. So you can build.
So it's not the containers that run on Mac, but Mac containers.
That can be run on Mac. Yeah.
Okay. What would that be for?
Here's one for me. Is if I need to build on I need to keep an older version of Xcode around.
Okay.
So I can build further back because fill in the blank reasons. And I don't want to keep the hardware. It's like, do I have mine here? I don't. Like my old 2011 MacBook Air. High Sierra is the most recent OS that I can run on that one, or the highest level OS I can run on that.
Yeah.
And I'm still building some code that runs on that I'm backporting to High Sierra. But the newest Xcodes don't support that.
Okay.
So being able to just spin that up, just like how you would do a VM, right? I need to be able to spin that version up. Mac, you can't do that all the time. So, yeah, user mode Linux is listed. Yeah, okay, well. Because this isn't an Apple doing it. Of course, yeah. I like it. Now, again, it's 0.0.1. It's old. Or not old, somewhere. But it's got to start. Yeah. But yeah, anyway. macOS containers. Flyscrape is a new project that will allow you to scrape. No, we know what scraping is, right? We're just web scraping pages. Now, this is a Go-based application. So Flyscrape is actually Go. But to write the scripts to run, it's JavaScript. Which, okay, I'll give it a little bit of a pass there because usually that's makes sense. I'm going to say all the time, but let's say it's better than writing it in a Go template. Right? It's not saying it's perfect, but it's fine. The thing that sets this one apart to me is we can actually extract data easily. Like anytime you've had to write scraping stuff to extract and you have to walk the DOM to get data out, that's usually painful at best.
Very.
Whereas this appears to be like what this is saying is just give me back my H1 and the docs that are contained within, or map it into docs for this href.
That looks very similar to what we were doing a long time ago with those testing tools for web pages.
Yeah, like Playwright and those kinds of things. Yeah, but this feels a little cleaner without that level of, because usually once you get into Playwright, you need to know all the things. Yeah. In Selenium, you need to know all the things to do anything, and this feels just very purpose built to do this thing.
Nice.
So it's flyscrape. And I believe it's MIT as well. Let's see, just because I can. MPL, but that's fine. And it's newish in the past few weeks, and they have more examples over here.
Now that everybody's scraping whole internet for their AI models, training,
maybe you want to do this. So you can create a new script, you can run a script, and you can watch and rerun a scraping script. Okay. And you can set up a lot of, this is the other thing too that I thought was nice, is you can just set up configs and just, there it is.
Yeah. Nice.
Flyscrape. Nice purpose-built little thing. This one you might find interesting. We were talking about Cilium a few minutes ago. Mm-hmm. SSHLog is a free source-available Linux daemon. Okay, I see source available, then I go and look at, okay, what's the license? The license is Redis source. Okay, so it's BSL-ish. Right. Okay. But I'll give it, I'll give it a moment. Linux daemon written in C++ and Python. I just had a headache happen. That passively monitors open SSH servers via eBPF. This via eBPF was the interesting thing. It's not like we haven't done these things in the past.
Yeah.
But now we can record all SSH session activity for logging, allow administrators to share a SSH session, watch sessions, and post Slack messages. We couldn't do that easily before. Forward all SSH events to a remote syslog. And again, something that we've seen in the past, but now it's based on eBPF.
Nice. I mean,
not a friendly license. We'll state that there. But
yeah,
maybe it's for my servers that I need to track things on. Just like how did I do that before? Or, okay, what stupid thing did I do in the past?
Yeah, but I assume that if you're managing servers, right, you don't need that because you're not going to monitor yourself. And then users of those servers are hopefully not SSHing anymore, right? You're hopefully not giving SSH access anymore, right? It goes through some API, whether that's some serverless or Kubernetes or Docker or something, right?
Well, in theory, yes. But
in practice, no. Yeah.
Anyway, I thought it was interesting.
Nice.
Now, SSHLog, so that's the agent, and that's the only thing that's out there right now. If you were to go to their site, I'm trying to actually drink some soda right now. I'm not getting there. Monitor your users' SSH. Gee, who is this targeted at? Security people, CISOs, whatever, right?
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? If it's let's say security people, hey, if your concern is that people are SSHing into server and doing stuff that they shouldn't, the solution is don't give SSH access. We don't need it anymore, unless you're admin, right?
I totally agree.
Kind of, and I would say that if not before with Docker, we removed that need, right? And everything that happened after that.
Yeah. But anyway, it looks interesting. It just
Nice.
looks interesting, right? And ABPF based, which is what triggered it for me. It's like, otherwise it was like, yeah, okay. And I saw that. It's like, okay, let's pull that. Because this is the first non-Kubernetes item that I've seen with eBPF. I'm sure there have been others, but this is the first one that sort of jumped out at me. Which this use case makes total sense. It's like, Ari was saying eBPF is at the kernel so they can see syscalls, right? It's these kinds of things. So. Hera, you sent this to me, saying we should bring this up.
Okay.
A Python framework for constructing and submitting Argo workflows.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I don't remember the gentleman's name.
I forgot it as well, but yes, now I remember. Yeah, it's kind of a Python-friendly way to define Argo workflows instead of freaking out how complicated it is.
Yeah, in fact, he's using steps diamond and a DAG diamond. I went, what? Is diamond a word in Argo workflows?
Yeah, there are different different flows.
Okay. Which sort of steps. There's steps. So you can use Python-ish. I guess, well, I guess this is Python. So to define it. Yeah, that makes sense.
DSL, essentially.
Yeah.
Python-based DSL to define Argo workflows.
Okay. So that's Hera.
Nice.
Now, for the big one for the week. We got through this really fast because there really wasn't much news this week. I think we're back into that dark time of right before KubeCon.
Yeah, probably.
It's like between everything happening over in the Middle East and everything else going on, it's like news is sort of quieted down. People
Those types of news, yeah.
Radius. Did you see this week?
No, it looks familiar as if something that I stumbled upon, but I haven't really dived into.
I haven't dived into it yet either. This is from the Azure incubation.
It's a Microsoft thingy. Yeah. Yes.
Radius is an open source, cloud native, all the buzzwords, all stuffed into the thing, application platform that enables developers and the operators that support them, platform teams, to define, deploy, and collaborate on cloud native applications across, this is the key point, public clouds and private infrastructure.
So this sounds very, very similar. I mean, in description, so I haven't tried it, so I might be talking something that makes zero sense. But this sounds very much like rebirth of Open Application Model. Because Open Application Model was started by Microsoft, then adopted by Alibaba, I think, mostly, then completely abandoned by Microsoft. And I haven't tried it, so I don't know. But the description looks very much like, hey, we're taking another attempt at that.
That's what I think it is, too. I want to jump back here. Ben, thanks for putting this in. Brendan Gregg's BCC tools were using eBPF. You're right. But how many people know who Brendan Gregg was unless you were in that space?
Exactly.
That is very, very true. But anyway, back to Radius. Developer and operator collaboration. Dev and ops. Wait, are you kidding me? Are we having that?
All
having
the
this
important buzzwords are there. I guess application graph.
Yep.
There you
Infrastructure recipes. Be interesting to see how they recipe this. I haven't looked at it. We'll look at it in a second. Cloud neutral. Thumbs up. Azure. Good call. Leverage existing tools. Okay. Existing CI/CD systems like GitHub Actions and Azure DevOps pipelines. Okay. They stayed there. They didn't go all the way over. They didn't start naming other people, but that's okay. We'll give them grace for that. So how do you get started? Do you want to see how do we ratify your first application? I on purpose did not look at this for this reason. I wanted to see what our reactions, like real-time reactions, were.
Me neither. Let's go.
Okay. Get started. Our first app takes 10 minutes.
Show me the code.
Run in a free GitHub code workspace. Okay.
Good for them.
Okay. Have your Kubernetes cluster handy. Whoops.
Okay.
Radius runs inside Kubernetes. That's fine. Way to go. You could try K3D. Good. All right. So we get in there. We install the Radius CLI. Still sounding okay. But if it runs inside Kubernetes, why do we need a Radius CLI?
Let's find out. I'm guessing
Okay.
to maybe define some files or something like that.
Right. So we get a rad, but my point here is, and you've hammered this before, if I'm using Kubernetes, why do I need a special CLI versus just having a plugin for kubectl?
Yeah, you don't. But I'm seeing now in the 0.3 rad init, right? That probably creates the setup file, whatever, right?
Yep.
Kind of like
So there it is.
it's probably more for creating files than anything else.
Yep. Which is fine. Right? I'm not saying that CLIs are, at least it's a CLI.
Okay, I see now what it's doing. So you define it as something, and that CLI, here's my guess, that CLI will convert this into YAML later on.
Right. And then we run the app. And there's the app. We can add a database. What are we doing here? Oh, we open it up and we edit it. We add some new code to app.bicep. So it's a bicep file. Update the connections. Okay. There's the final file. Okay. We run the application with the database.
Yeah, I love the comment from Gwoden. This was my thought as well. This looks very much like Waypoint, if you remember that thingy.
Right, but Waypoint just changed this past. That is one thing that happened over the past couple weeks.
Okay.
I didn't pull that one in. But anyway, there it is.
So I'm guessing now from the look, basically this is more like, you have two approaches. Kind of move everything to the cluster, or keep everything in the client side CLI. This looks like the latter, right? Bicep is probably converting your stuff into Kubernetes resources. If you define application, it will probably convert it into deployment, ingress, service, things like that.
Which is fine, right?
Which is
There's
fine,
nothing wrong with that. Let's take a look at GitHub real quick. Because again, let's look at Radius. It's Apache 2.0. Nothing crazy.
Yeah.
Way to go, Azure. Microsoft, however you want to say it. And it looks like it's been around for a bit, like months, but it's now 26.6. Lots of words, too many words. We need pictures.
Cool.
So that is Radius. And then finally, your video for this week about Falco.
Falco, yes. It's a strange thing to me. So it's amazing in terms that it can tell you all the things that are happening and probably shouldn't be happening, right? So it's the way I see it. If you manage to write the rules, which is a challenge because we are talking about syscalls, you will be notified whenever something bad happens. You will not prevent anything bad happening. Now, you tell me how useful or not useful that is.
Well, in my opinion, it could be useful or could not be. I was trying to pull up the waypoint thing. Sorry, I was trying to find it.
Yeah. So it's notifications, let's say, of all the bad things.
Yeah.
Falco.
Well, I'd rather have notifications than nothing.
Oh yeah, I mean, better to know that somebody's messing up with you than not knowing, right? Actually, I don't know. Living in a bliss is not that bad either. Eh?
Yeah, I found the waypoint thing. I will go ahead and pull it up. I think it's safe to pull up. Yeah, new vision for Waypoint. Okay. I appreciate all of our friends at HashiCorp, but I need to be able to get rid of this. There it is. You have to click on it to be able to see the X.
Yeah.
So we played with Waypoint way back when. So the new vision is application delivery challenges for platform application teams or platform teams. Blah, blah, blah. Waypoint templates and add-ons, which sounds very much like what we just saw with Radius.
Sounds very much like what it was.
Yeah, but a little bit nicer. Now you can choose a template. it feels very much like, who's the other H word? Heroku,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's in fact to the point to where they're using stack in the phrasing, and then add-ons.
So, yeah,
and,
very similar. This is definitely very similar to what we saw from bicep thingy, whatever it
Yeah.
was.
radius. Yep. So, great. That just goes to prove that platform teams are a thing, and making things, I'm not going to say self-service, but here's my service catalog, my template. Go.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually one of the topics I'm exploring right now. I don't think that's a good thing, to be honest. So, if you create a service catalog, that's great. If you create some front that will convert your input into something that you don't understand, that's why we use those templates. That's great, but then my question is, what happens after that, right? So if you tell me that, yeah, I can create an application without knowing Kubernetes resources, that's great, but you need to give me everything else, right? If my application fails, I cannot go and check Kubernetes resources, because if I know how to do that, I wouldn't need your help in the first place, right? So I think that it needs to go way beyond what many are doing now, right? Okay, you need to simplify it. If you want to simplify it for me, you need to simplify it from the beginning to the end. You need to give me a different observability, different scanning, different everything, right? Which is great. It's where we should be. But I feel that most of the solutions I see, they kind of do only the first step. And then that works only until it doesn't.
Works until it doesn't.
Yeah. So let's say, for the sake of argument, if somebody gives me an easier way to define, let's say, and stop me if I'm talking trash, if somebody gives me an easier way to define and initiate Jenkins jobs, that's great. It's easier, right? I don't need to know Jenkins. Excellent. Until something goes wrong, and then I need to go Jenkins to see what's wrong. If that's the situation, then you just wasted the time on the first part. Because if I need to go to Jenkins or to Kubernetes or to anything else for something, everything else you did before that, it was a waste, right? Because then that means that I need to learn that something. So it needs to do either the full cycle or nothing.
But you're not supposed to know redundancy and observability. This is where shift left goes very bad, right?
Exactly. So kind of shift left works when the whole SDLC is involved in shifting left, right? So whatever you're doing, that needs to involve the full life cycle of that something, right? How do I deploy it? How do I test it? How do I observe it? And so on and so forth, right? Otherwise, no bueno.
That means not good, just in case you're not familiar with what no bueno means. Does anybody not know what no bueno doesn't mean?
I'm just guessing everybody does. Everybody knows no bueno is una cerveza, por favor.
Does that mean give me a beer, please?
Yes, there you go.
Okay.
You see, you don't drink and even you know it.
Speaking of drinking, has nothing to do with drinking. You just got back from a first-time place for you, right?
Morocco.
Well, I thought China. I was thinking China, but have you
China
been to
wasn't the first time for me, yeah.
Okay.
I was actually QCon the one before COVID.
Oh, okay.
And then
I forgot.
a couple of other places. I've been like to China 4 or 5 times.
Okay.
But
full transparency. So let me set this up how this sort of went, because the first time we had actually even communicated since 5 weeks ago was yesterday.
Yes.
Because I knew he was going to be gone. I was like, let me just let him, like, for the little times he's at home, I don't want to bug him. It's like, his baby girl needs to see him. So it's like, let's let the family be there. But we talked yesterday.
Yeah.
And the thing that you told me that I thought was interesting was when you go to China, leave everything at home.
Yeah.
And not for
No
the
point.
reasons that you might want to think. I mean, yeah, you
Yeah,
probably
no
should
sec-
leave. Not security
not
reasons.
for security reasons. I mean, that would be a separate subject. But yeah, kind of leave your English at home. It's useless. Even in a hotel. And I'm talking about international hotel type of stuff, right? Leave your language behind. Leave your credit cards because they're also completely useless. And everything else. Bring clothes. So that's important. Don't go naked. Apart from that, everything is different. Everything. Kind of like no application on your mobile serves any purpose.
Except for, you talked about credit cards. Then how do you pay?
Yeah, basically you install one application, that's your whole life. You can choose between WeChat or Alipay or probably one or two more, and everything is there. Right? That's where you pay, that's where your maps are. So here's one detail, right? If you go to a restaurant, there is almost never a person who will come and ask you what you want. The only way to order food is by scanning a QR code on the table. And you cannot scan it like you scan it, Darren, right? Kind of open a photo up and then just open the page. No. You need to have a proper application, which can be nobody knows what. So in some restaurants, I had Alipay with me. In some restaurants, I could go and eat. In some others, I couldn't go because it doesn't accept Alipay, it accepts something else. Then you say, I cannot eat here because there is no way for me to order, there is no way for me to pay, and nobody is going to come and ask me any questions.
Welcome to China.
There we go. But once you get used to it, it's fucking amazing. Oh, I said the word. It's amazing. It's absolutely brilliant. Kind of, oh, you just keep your phone open with QR code, or wherever you go, you just go, here's QR, you get the QR code, you get the QR code. Everybody gets a QR code. Nobody knows how much money I spent over there.
Should make expense submission quite interesting. Of course, I guess that's good too, because you just pull it up, and there's everything that you bought.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
When I did expenses, I had no idea what I'm expensing, but all is there. Kind of like I just got a huge file and submitted it to wherever we do expenses.
I want to go back. This goes back to our platform conversation. Then I want to come back to Morocco. Jivan just got off of a meeting about container vulnerabilities, and the dev says, "We just want to code. Can you fix it?" This is always a fun argument to have with people. It's like, well, we're going to shift everything left. Are you?
Yeah, but you can. I don't think it's invalid. I mean, it's not my cup of tea. I don't like that approach. But you can say, okay, I'm not handling anything related to production, to deployment, to any of those things. I just write code that's legit. But then you cannot really insist on anything either. You cannot say I need this or I need that. Kind of, it's what I can give you.
Exactly. Okay, let's go back to Morocco, because that's the one I messed up on.
Yeah, Morocco.
Tell us about Morocco. What was Morocco? Was it just a DevOps days or
the best conference ever as a speaker?
Okay.
Absolutely, without doubt, the best. Right? It's first of all, it's a conference in a resort on a beach. Let's start with that. Kind of like, isn't that by itself is already probably enough? You're in a resort on a beach with a pool and with amazing weather. Kind of, you want to swim, you go swimming. You want to sunbath, you do whatever you want, and this I haven't seen in any other conference, to be honest, before. 2 days exclusive for speakers only, resort, all paid by the conference. So after the conference, kind of, we all went for 2 days in a different resort with activities and stuff. I never saw a conference who does that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It's just that I never been in one.
You've never been one. That does sound amazing. Morocco, in a resort.
Yep.
Wow. Let's get back to here for a second. Regarding one app to do everything. Oh wait, I went too far. Okay, let's go with the words. If devs don't want to take some of the ownership of introducing packages that contain vulnerabilities, then they cannot complain if I fail their CI pipeline. Jivaden follows up. I'm not allowed to fail it.
I mean, so going back to the first Ari's comment.
Yeah.
Depend kind of depends what failed the pipeline. If you say, I'm responsible for packaging your application in a container, right? And defining it, how it's going to run in Kubernetes or whatever, then I'm responsible for it. You cannot fail other people's work if you took the responsibility on, right? If all the developers do is write, let's say, Node.js code, then the only thing that you can fail the pipeline for reasonably are the vulnerabilities of Node.js itself. And then we are running into problems because you cannot say, I'm failing your build for the things that I control. On the other hand, you cannot control everything because that's impossible, right? That's where usually situations fail miserably, right? Kind of, you need to respond to any request, and you cannot expect anybody else to fix it.
Let's go to this other comment. I can shift left the detection to their laptop using Git hooks, yes, and provision, but they still have to understand what they are doing and how they are affecting the quality of the product. I wish that were true. I agree, but I wish that were true.
To me, an example would be AWS, right? There is a very clear distinction between what is your responsibility and what is AWS responsibility, right? If a hypervisor fails, if a region fails or a zone or something like that, right? You are never going to be asked to fix it, right? You will just get a notification we're working on it, and then you're going to get another notification it's fixed, right? Not your problem. And it's very clear what is your problem. Like, hey, I chose to use Ubuntu instead of CentOS as my as the operating system for my EC2, and that's not what I want. Yep. So kind of like AWS response would be, what can I do? The operating system I choose for my EC2 instances has vulnerabilities. Yes. Again, why are you asking me that? Why are you telling me that? Right. So they made a clear line that says, whatever you tell us you want through the API is your problem. Everything else that is happening after we receive the request is our problem. We know what's us and we know what is you. Don't call us if it's not us, right? And that's what I feel that companies have difficulty establishing, kind of what is whose responsibility.
But then we get back to what they've had, AWS and the other providers, they have explicit rules against doing crypto mining. And if they find crypto mining, they're going to shoot it down.
Yeah,
they're going to terminate those instances.
It's very clear what you can and what you cannot do. Now, there are cases where you might be able to do something that you're not allowed to do, like crypto mining, but you will be, if you're detected, you will be shut down, no questions asked, right? So you can somehow circumvent the rules, but only until you're detected.
Then once you're detected,
so in other words, how many people had kind of like almost, I don't know many cases where people would call AWS without understanding what is their problem and what is not their problem, right?
I would say that that's probably true finally, after 15 years.
I mean, the other thing is kind of like how long it takes you to understand the system, right? But once you do, it's very clear who does what.
Yep. Okay.
That's what I urge companies to actually do as well. Everything should become a service. You're a service provider to somebody in your company, right? Either you're servicing end users, people outside of your company, or you're servicing internal users. You create a service, you set the rules, and you say, use this service, this is what I do, this is your responsibility. If you don't like it, do it yourself.
Until I come back and say, well, I don't like you doing it that way. Then you're taking back ownership again.
The moment you say, I don't like how you're doing things, you need to be prepared to take the ownership of that something, right? Now, there must be also rules that say, hey, there is an option to do whatever you want, but you cannot expose to outside traffic or whatever kind of. But As long as you follow the rule book, you're fine. Either you use our services or you accomplish the same thing yourself. That's fine.
Yeah. Going back to Jivan for a moment, he showed us that one comment. Another comment that he got was, can you fix a kubectl, that thing that you run? Problem with being a service provider is that the developers now become your clients. Yes, that's true.
Yes, that's true. I mean, no,
But,
developers...
finish it up. As opposed to peers.
Yes.
Yep. But that's what happens. If you're in that role, that's your job, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the same thing, like let's say that you have a person or a team that is making sure that your data center is up and running, right? Electricity, networking, and stuff like that. They're giving you the service. You're not going to go and start trying to figure out why there is no electricity in your data center, right? As a developer. Not your problem.
Nope. You just need to know that it's happening. You need to know that that's what it is. But then he finished the statement here. So then you become a customer service team versus the ops team. Yes. And in fact, I would rather be a customer service team than an ops team.
Yeah. I mean, AWS converted itself from being an ops team for your company to being a service provider. They're a service provider, right? And they do a lot, but through services.
Yeah. Makes you appreciate the people in the hospitality who deal with bad customers. Yeah. But the thing here, it does start to feel more and more like a help desk role. Yeah. Done correctly, it is a help desk role.
Yeah. But help desk is also the amount of work you have as a help desk is somehow disproportional to the quality that you're providing, right? Let me think of an example. Apple is probably not having many help desk calls, right? Because their products, generally speaking, work, and their services, applications are intuitive to use, and so on and so forth. I would guess that if you look at the statistics, they have less calls per customer than many other companies, right? Because it works and it's intuitive. Now, so let's say, Darren, we're role-playing here, right? You're giving me a service, and I call you every 15 minutes to help me with something, right? That's probably bad design.
No, it's not probably. It is bad design.
Exactly. Now, I'm not saying that I will never call you.
Right. And that's okay. Right? And that's fine.
Exactly.
I have something like this in the day job right now that I've sort of inserted myself into to make my life easier further down the line. So I inserted myself earlier in the line. But there's bugs that happen, and since I'm the one that wrote it, I get to fix it. But that's okay, because then in fixing those things and seeing the conversations, like, oh, I can make these other things better. So then eventually I can close the gap of when I can start doing things.
Exactly. The more intuitive you make, less people are going to call you. And when it happens that something is not clear, ideal response is, yeah, here's a link to the docs. You just missed it. You missed it. Here you go.
Or the docs haven't been written yet. Or, oh, this is a bug, and I need to fix it. Because the upstream provider that I'm dependent on changed something that I wasn't aware of. And all of that is okay. We call that life. Anyway. So, next Friday. Actually, let's talk about it because we're actually going to be around next week. Monday video from you. Wednesday podcast. Thursday over on DevOps Toolkit, you have an AMA with somebody. I can't remember his name.
I cannot remember either. Somebody from Fiberplane.
Okay.
Yes.
And then Friday we're back here. But then we're going to be gone. So next Friday we're here, but then 2 weeks after that we're gone because Victor is going to be at KubeCon.
And then half a day at home and then going to Switzerland and then directly from Switzerland to Germany. And then I'm coming back home and I'm not going to go anywhere for months.
Yeah, but at least Switzerland and Germany are easy for you, right?
Yeah, I'm going to take a train from Switzerland to Germany.
Oh, yeah.
6 hours.
That's better than getting on a plane.
Yeah, 6 hours. It wouldn't take me less to go on a plane, except all the hustle, sitting at the airport.
But now you can just sit in a train. There's probably snow on the ground, so you'll be able to see some things. See, in Europe, you know how to do trains.
You know what? Kind of train is comparable to the first class of a plane.
Oh yeah.
First
Even
class
even the you're talking about coach of a train.
I'm talking about coach. So
Yeah.
I'm talking about economy class in a train is comparable to first class in a plane. I have space. I might have a table. I'm not sure about this specific case. I can go to a bar. I can have a drink. I can eat something. I can open my laptop. I can work.
You don't have to step over 3 people or 2 people, potentially 3
Exactly.
people.
Exactly.
Oh man. But anyway, busy week next week, and we'll try to get back into. So we're not going to get into the rhythm good enough, but then after mid-November, after he is back from those last 3 trips, then we should be in a good rhythm to close the year out.
Yeah.
I can't believe the year's almost over.
That's what happens to years. They come to an end.
And then they begin again. Okay. Thanks, everybody. I see a lot of chat going on right now, so I'm not going to try to pull all those up. But I'll try to remember to put the chat back in. I think I'd turned it off, but I'll try to add it back in so we can pull that chat back up. Actually, once I trim it, the chat goes away. Dang it. I'll try to pull the chat before, because there's some ideas here that are making me think about podcast episodes that we could talk about some more. So I'll do that. I don't have anything to write here. But anyway. Thanks, everybody, for being here live with us. Give us a thumbs up before you leave. If you're watching the replay, thanks again for watching the replay. And we'll get back in the groove here very soon. So thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. If you're already in your weekend, great. Have a great weekend. Let us know how it's going. And we'll see you again next week.